I thought it was high time that I told my story. I am Luis Arnaldo Vasquez. I write under the pen name of Jujubin Vasquez. The kid you see in the picture there grew up in Milwaukee, 2711 North Pierce Street on the east side, a block away from a bar called the Finale, where Jeffrey Dahmer would frequent. And this kid would be the one that got away because Jeffrey Dahmer hunted this kid and actually got out of his car in the middle of traffic, obsessed. When they were rebuilding the porch that this kid is actually standing on, Jeffrey Dahmer came walking down the gangway and you couldn't address him. He was despondent. He was being ridden. Only someone who knows spirituality would know someone who's being ridden, where they're almost despondent. They know not what they do. It's like compulsory. It's compulsory behavior. And coming from a long line of mediums in my family with outlandish abilities, I knew at a young age that I had been gifted. There were no two ways about it. There comes a certain age where when you have these gifts, that it's called an indwelling, and you are given choices. And I can specifically remember the day. I know this is going to sound insane, but I remember the day that I was in my bedroom and I was having a conversation with mind, because that's what I call, what I understand to be love. Love is mind. This is something that we'll talk about. But it gave me the option. It said, would you rather have riches or would you rather have understanding? And I said, I don't care about anything in the whole world. I just want to know why and wherefore, why men do the things they do and say the things they say, and where we really are. I want to understand everything. And I remember getting a gentle response. It was like a tickle in my chest, like a surprise that I had foregone riches, which I wound up later on in life actually foregoing. Everything that I'm saying to you right now, I can substantiate. I can substantiate that Jeffrey Dahmer would park his car out in front of my house and watch me, that he tried to come in my back door, that he stopped in traffic, that I had to go to a person's house and actually ask for help. And when this lady came out on the porch and stared his ass down, he got back into his car. But that it took that much let me know how obsessed he was. And I knew that I knew the sun wasn't far away. I knew these things. I innately knew these things, and all of this is going to make sense to you as I continue talking. Like I said, my name is Luis Arnaldo Vasquez. I write under the pen name Jujubin Vasquez. I'm a real person. And I want to talk about mind because we're within a realm that has facilitated itself. Don't get where we are or anything around these here precincts mixed up with what mind is. Mind is everything and nothing at all. I mean, that a group of interdimensional scientists known as the wing makers can pass themselves off as being from another planetary body is beyond. I mean, there's a lot of misconstrued narrative here because this technology exists and the reality is we're sung into mind. Everything is sung. There is no objective space with an atomic bandwidth. This is what the ancients knew. This. The ancients knew that it's all 0 point. And there's technology that's facilitated. I mean, realms like ours are facilitated in that it doesn't have to be a sour note. That mind facilitates itself is a brilliant piece of handiwork. You gotta give it up for mind. I mean, mind is brilliant. And we see the type of technology that it uses. It's like what we're looking at are frequency variations, and that's how everything is sung to life. And all of the technology that facilitates it is far and away. I mean, these crafts are fantastic in and of themselves, in that they never truly turn. The cockpit swivels and a window morphs into a different section in the direction of desired travel. These are called autovans. And the outer hull is locked onto the rubus nigra. And we know these things. I mean, these are where only one, I can only concede that, in my knowledge, only one who bears the mantle of Maitreya is going to know these things. Anything that I'm telling you is only going to be from someone who I believe whose destiny it is to tell you these things. Because it was written by the Anuna themselves that one would come along and he would gain understanding from the bas reliefs and he would tell it to the world. I don't know if that coincides with the Buddhist prophecy of Maitreya. Maitreya is just someone who's reached enlightenment in our realm of being. And I realize that in searching my lifelong dream of finding enlightenment, not only have I found it, but in finding it for myself, I found it for anyone else who cares to listen. And that mind facilitates itself within the design. Mind, it's all frequency, all the way down to the human genome. It's a beautiful thing, though, when you think about it. And they're always utilizing frequency because these guys were like, they're the wing makers. I mean, that's like coming in, having innate knowledge of the blueprint and being able to do things within frequency and travel interdimensionally within frequency. And matrix species, I mean, we're not the first apex speciation to grace Terra. We need to understand this. And I don't want us rushing to put our effigies in the pantheon that is Terra, because there are a lot of effigies in the pantheon of Terra that mankind has no knowledge of. And this is what is sad in a Kali declension, because that's where we are. We're in a Kali declension. This is when the powers that be basically usurp your birthright of knowing and having wealth and abundance and everything else that comes with true birthing realm and ascension, and they try to just run everyone into the mud. I mean, that's the bottom line of that one, but I mean, that's neither here nor there, given the fact that our vault is real and that within mind there are systems that exist that work in conjunction with each other. And this is what mankind has to realize, that we are within mind. Mind facilitates itself. There is only like convolutions of polarity in mind when you think about it. Like Solomon said, all is cyclic. But it's a beautiful thing when you think about how all is sung into life. And the technology itself is pretty fantastic. When you see that the headdresses that they're actually wearing are pieces of machinery that actually recharge on a base. And that what they're showing us is all technology. And that the stars are actually bet spheres. And that they use technology to interact with the AI's interface, which is very personable from what I've learned. I mean, the AI itself that mind uses to facilitate itself is pretty dosh darn fantastic. And you see them utilizing the technology. This is Utu. They're utilizing technology. There's the technology. And that represents the power base, the dragon. There's one of the top dogs by his headdress utilizing technology. Here's them letting us know that the headdress basically interfaces with all this technology. This is why I said the dragons are the power bases, because originally they were like that. Weapon of brilliance. Yeah, we can see that they were utilizing technology, and that the all-seeing eye is the lens on the belly of the Black Knight satellite, which is in fact our realm's controller. And there's only interdimensions. And when I see stuff like this, I'm thinking maybe all wasn't what we're being told, and there's a different narrative, because if I'm not mistaken, that looks like an herb, and that looks like a human. And why would a herb be brought in with a human unless it was going to be used to cook the human, is what I'm thinking, and that doesn't bode well. But they did many genetic experiments within mind. I mean, we're ultimately all within mind. This is what we need to understand. And that mind has facilitated itself, and that the Anunnaki just so happen to have access to that tech. It's interdimensional technology. It taps directly into mind. And the AI itself is what controls the troop of stars. That's the interesting thing. They let that be known right away, that the AI itself is what controls the troop of stars. You have to give it up, though. It's a brilliant process that mind can facilitate itself within a medium of its own design. It's what this is. This is a medium of mind's own design. And these gentlemen are the wing makers. Yes, they are. Only the wing makers could come in with such intimate knowledge of genetics within the medium of mind. basically only a higher dimensional life could come and take advantage of that. It's not a species that was already here. It's what biblical, once again, connotations would call a fallen race, a descended race. I mean, but we have to wonder how such systems people themselves, because I don't think the Ajiji were doing it by themselves. I think that there's a lot we're not being told about birthing realms and the ascension of apex speciations. I really do. That these beings had free reign to do these types of experiments lets me know that, okay, maybe mind is much more relative to itself than we think. And I know dimensions are superimposed within the same toroidal plane of where we are. But that they're using technology, there can be no question, there can be no doubt. They're utilizing technology that had power bases. I mean, it's common knowledge. This is like 2 plus 2, you guys. It's technology. And they're showing us that they did these genetic experiments. And I mean, they had a high degree of working it out, I see. But this is a bet sphere. This is what we think are stars. And this is what the Navy labs found inside of it, which are minuscule amounts of rare elements and with one small fiber intertwined. The third one had exploded, leading them to believe that that was why the star itself had malfunctioned. And someone had brought it into their home and it would sing when they played piano, and then it got to the point where it would literally roll and follow them around the house like a pet. It had sentience. This is what I mean. There's a lot of truth to like the biblical verses of the stars being called out by name. The stars are sentient, and I know that's insane, but believe it. The stars are sentient. They sung. They responded to piano music, and in the middle of the night, they sung out. I mean, imagine being home and then hearing Close Encounters from the Third Kind music. Do, 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 do. In the middle of the night, I'd be like, okay, it's time to put it in the closet. But they even talked about it. They talked about what it did, how it went around the house, and I mean, this is just too much when you think about it. I think it's extraterrestrial. Yeah, they're extraterrestrial, all right. It's all part of a control system. And sadly, that there are other races here interdimensionally that are parasitic. I mean, as you can see by their lamprey mouths, that's what this is. This is like a lamprey mouth and their raptor eyes. They're actually pretty ugly creatures. I've seen them before. They're they're sickly looking. I mean, that's what I don't get. How could something so sickly be gifted with glamour, which is what the ancients called deception, visual deception? And I think that there's a lot that we don't know about that field as well. But what we call planets, I mean, it's all the whole narrative is crap. The whole narrative is crap. These beings have been here for eons. And they found this out when they used this machine right here on board the USS Eldridge, because it ripped the fabric of space-time. I mean, this is the stuff that people, I would think, would want to know, but it isn't always like that. It isn't always like that. It isn't like people always want to know. There can be little doubt that our realm is overseen by mind, and that as such, all exists within mind. I mean, we'd like to believe we're objectively in existence. I get it. But our realm has a controller. And these are what the Vedas call cycles. Cycles where different speciations are brought to fruition, and there's not just one plane of being here with us. There are other planes of being superimposed in the same subjective bandwidth field. This is what mankind should understand, that in the same field, in the same field here with us, there are other planes of being superimposed. And that's the miracle that mind is, when you think about it. Because it's a miracle. The way that mind has facilitated itself in a design, and that everyone has stayed clueless for so long, mind being the ultimate facilitator, everything and nothing at once. And the technology to tap into mind is quite simple. It's just being suppressed. I mean, I know that it's simple to tap into mind. I've done it before in my life, utilizing technology to fantastic results, but it's something that's suppressed for the most part, because that's how the powers that be want it. I mean, the story is a beautiful one when you think about it, because even when anything goes against mind, from what I've learned in all of my studies, and they're quite extensive, is that anything that bucks the system and goes against mind ultimately winds up being tied to that. By that which you bite off are you chained, especially when it comes to realms of Etheria. And we're in Etheria. Atoms are empty space. The second that they conceded atoms to be empty space, you were Etherian. And they didn't want everyone to know that. That was like a huge secret. On one hand, Dwight D. Eisenberg, who had supposedly met with the Etherians, was probably told that we, in fact, are also Etherian. But they sat on that fact, which is neither here nor there now, because now it's just about being in a finite realm. And because we're in a finite realm, there has to be, I mean, everything is organic. I mean, I don't know if people can understand what I'm saying, but realms, whole civilizations didn't just disappear. The realms preceding this one actually are peopled en masse. I mean, there were cyclic calamities that would have been much more numerous had they not harbored technology that would harvest souls en masse for the next plane of being. So they basically bound up a natural order of Earth, which was to live a little bit more dangerously when it came to how it sustained life upon itself, being able to buck if there was too much waste or damage. It would be a lot worse if they didn't have HARP technology. Just believe me on that note. Because Earth is in birthing pangs. What we know to be Earth, which is actually Terra, a realm within mind. You've never been outside of mind, neither is it possible to be outside of mind. You exist as an indwelt frequency construct within mind. And you're saying, how can it be so real? Well, just think about it. There's no such thing as space. It's all mind. There's only mind. There's only mind. And mind is like a bandwidth unto itself. It's like what remains. It's beyond. It's like everything we see here isn't what mind is, but what mind can be. That's the strange part, because I've come to know mind as ever present and very personable, and actually more, I mean, the angels laugh about this, but they discern what we would consider the all person or all of mind to be more unto woman by human reckoning. And I can see how that would be, being the nurturer of life. It would stand to reason that it would be more matronly than patronly, just by the reproductive notion. As facets of one totality, we go through life forever of the all, yet our own person, our own being. I mean, it's fantastic. It's like what dreams may come and then some. It's like, how real could it be? Basically, we're all in heaven and we don't know it. And it's like, how real could heaven be? You want to know how real heaven can be? Pinch yourself. That's the bottom line. If you want to know how real heaven can be, pinch yourself. I mean, we're in a realm of dense corporality, but on other planes of being, I know from what I've learned that there's order. There's like, they do peace work for all. I mean, they do peace work for all. It's a much simpler way to do things the way it's done in preceding planes, if you ask me. There's just order. It's like, only here is it the chaos of polarity, and it is chaos. I mean, this is a birthing realm. We are veritable titans by having gone through all of this. Everyone needs to be cognizant of that fact. By having been alive during a time like this, you've become a titan in mind. You've got props now. You could be like, hey, I was on Terra during a Cali declension. They'd be like, what? Got to see that shit go to hell in a handbasket, didn't you? Well, kind of, sort of. But that's... it's like, where are we? Where are we is what I'm wondering. Because I love you guys so much, I wrote a song about it. Here's the song. mind, that mind is the brains of the matter. The very same mind that got you running